Shareholders of Tesla have voted in favor of CEO Elon Musk's exhaustive pay package of more than $40 billion. And while that pay package is unlikely to be paid out anytime soon, while that case is still upheld in courts, the potential payout has raised questions about executive pay in both Canada and the United States. On one hand, if CEOs are generating value for shareholders, their pay represents that. However, some argue that there is a limit on what is appropriate, especially during a time when Canadians are increasingly worried about income inequality. I'm now joined by Brendan Caldwell, Director at Caldwell Securities Ltd, to discuss the tension over executive pay. Brendan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, always great to be here, and this is a good one, so let's do it.
Brendan, why is there controversy surrounding how top executives are paid?
Well, whatever argument you can make about why some, by any mortal standards, exorbitant pay package is justified, you can be right, but as a good friend of mine is fond of saying, you can be right, but you can be dead right. So in a world that is increasingly bifurcated, split between those that perceive themselves as have-nots and those that are haves, to have a pay package that's in the millions or tens of millions, well, that's one thing. But have one that's 72, with a full Dr. Evil pinky finger going up at the moment, $72 billion. That's a number that gets people's attention. Now, you can make the argument, and I think there is a fair argument to be made, that deal was struck when the stock was at a fraction of its current price. Sales were no longer nowhere near where they are now. Earnings, cash flow, they were nowhere near where they are now, and Tesla has delivered. Now, to say that the pay package was necessary to keep Mr. Musk focused on Tesla might be a bit of a stretch, considering all the other ventures that Mr. Musk has been up to, from Twitter to space and back again. I don't know how focused he was, but maybe his lack of focus is one of his superpowers, the ability to do many things at the same time. Suffice to say, when the numbers start to get bigger than most people can understand, yeah, questions are going to get raised, including apparently by judges in the United States.
Now, are there regulations in place that control how much CEOs are paid?
They're in the wake of the financial crisis. There certainly was in the U.S. and Britain and around the world. But the trouble is that one just adjusts. So there were, particularly in Britain, regulations on how much could be paid in terms of bonuses. Well, all they did then was just adjust the base salaries. So it's not so much about the quantum as the sense of entitlement that goes with it. That the idea that because you are doing this high-powered, high-paying job, well, this high-powered job should also have not just a high pay rate to it, but a ridiculously high pay rate, which may or may not be tied to your activities, or may just be the economic cycle or luck of the draw. So, in the case of Musk as a founder, you can make a stronger case. In the case of the person who happened to rise to be the chairman of a big Canadian bank, I mean, someone was going to rise to that job, and the bank, being a protected species in Canada, is going to make money no matter what that person does. So does that person really need, or is it justified to have tens of millions of dollars? Not sure about that.
And what are some of the suggestions to control or limit executive compensation?
Well, what happened at Tesla, where the shareholders were actually asked to vote on it, although there was only, and I say only because most pay packages get like 90+% approval if they get approved at all. Only I think about 72% of Tesla's shareholders voted in favor of this. If you take something to the shareholders, I mean, I do think the public ownership of stock is the most profoundly democratic institution the world has ever come up with, because it does allow the free expression of capital, and one share, one vote does mean that the shareholders' will can or should be carried out at the end of the day.
And how can companies balance the need to attract top talent with the broader societal impact of high executive pay?
Well, I think at least what they did at Tesla, and I think what should be done in all companies, is if you're going to have bonuses that are tied to performance, they should genuinely be tied to performance, not just of the stock price, but of the other metrics that the company feels are important: profitability, cash flow, what have you. Some might say there's a broader responsibility, and maybe tying some of the metrics to that, to broader responsibility, is appropriate in this day and age as well.